Okay, Peter. That then takes us on to 5.2, which is land at the east of 19 Cairnbank Road. Again, Peter, just go through it to remind us.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this application relates to the erection of 4 dwelling houses at land east of 19 Cairnbank Road in Penicuik. The notice of review relates to a refusal of planning permission, and the applicant has appealed that decision and wishes a grant of permission for those 4 dwelling houses. As you saw from the site visit, they're all detached properties, a minimum of 3 bedrooms each with 2 parking spaces and 2 visitor spaces. Planning permission was refused, and after the LRB decision, obviously a decision will be issued through the Chair and made publicly available. All the information is attached in the report, Chair.
Right. Thanks very much. Again, we were up there this morning, so I'll just open it up to the LRB. Councillor McManus.
Thank you, Chair. I do have some concerns about this application just based on the location. I know that there's some things that we can't consider under the planning body, but I do have concerns about the garden as what I could see when I was attending the site. Yes, the square meterage may be, to their opinion, at acceptable level. Obviously, it's not flat land. I don't feel like it's usable as a garden. I know that there's contentious issues around what is a garden, how much garden. I know that that's an ongoing debate. I feel like in this scenario, we've got sort of an unsafe area at the bottom. That then leads me on to my next point. The protection order against the trees is significant. There's a few trees on the land that would have to be removed. And I think as well we'd be setting a precedent to allow this, just based on the fact that there's a protection order for the river. I understand the applicant's point of view in their submission that the canal part is not the river, but of course just across the way is the river. I fear that granting this permission would set a precedent for the future, that we need to really stick by what we say when we come to protection of our rivers, protection of our trees and natural landscapes. So on that, I would be minded to refuse.
Right, thanks for that. Any other comments? Councillor Smale.
Yes, I normally would very much appreciate Councillor McManus's desire for the retention of all trees, etc. But we have had several applications here where it is inevitable that some trees come down. And the trees we saw today I didn't think were of any particular status. My concern here is that the development is associated with a private road, where there is already, I think, for the planners, a problem of the cars jutting onto the private road. There would be a problem for the existing residents that the heavy construction traffic would murder the road, and therefore contributions will need to be made. I know the normal position is this is a private road and we can have no nexus, but I think in planning terms, on this occasion, we have to, because it is a road that has a gate, and if the gate's use is arbitrary or subject to disputes, we could find that emergency vehicles have problems getting here. We have also the public interest in maintaining access from the point of view of the Penicuik estate. So my thoughts on this are that there are many properties adjacent to water in the Penicuik area, adjacent to the lades created by the paper mills here, and I don't think that's necessarily an impediment. The fact of the bridges I don't think is necessarily a problem, although it's unclear from the papers whether they've actually asked for them. It is, however, I think, inevitable that we need to protect the other parties by asking, as a condition of granting, that arrangements satisfactory to the Council are entered into between the developer and the other residents, such that the road will be restituted to at least its current condition, and that the satisfactory arrangements are there for access and maintenance ongoing. That's without any prejudice to any legal debate there might happen to be between the parties. So on that basis, I would be prepared to permit this development.
Right, thanks, Councillor Smale. I wasn't sure where you were going to just now. Councillor Alexander and then Councillor Drummond.
Sorry, I would be minded not to grant this. On one, the road and the parking spaces that are available, that would then be available for the houses, just 2 parking spaces, and I'm thinking, when you have other people visiting or whatever, there's really nowhere for them to go. And also just coming up and down that road, it's going to increase the number of cars going up and down, and that along with the building process. I'm also thinking about the hedge. The hedge is going to be taken down, and also the trees. And if you noticed when we went there, there was a great deal of lichen on the trees, which, again, you don't want to be ruining that. So I'm minded to not grant it on those.
Yeah, I am of a similar mind to Councillor McManus and Councillor Alexander. I find that thinking about the access, the emergency access to these buildings, it's a one-way road, it's not a particularly wide road. There are a couple of passing areas, but once you start having construction traffic on this road, I feel that it would be generally unsafe for the other residents. Should there be an emergency that they need to have some sort of access in there, there wouldn't be any ability to actually have that. So on that, I would think that I would follow that and be in support of refusing this application.
Yeah, I'm actually differ from my colleagues here, apart from Councillor Smail. I think that these areas are, this is a private road. I don't think we have a responsibility to tell people how many cars they can park, or, you know, what we do in planning regulation, and they've met that criteria. But I don't think we can sit as judges and say there might be a fire, there might be an ambulance needs to get along there. There's houses already there on that road. Now, I don't think there's ever been any problems, and I don't think another 4 houses is going to add majorly to the problems on that road. It's a secluded little area, and I disagree with Councillor Smail. I don't think we can actually advocate towards them making that road, you know, like the one. It's a private road. It's I just. Yeah, I think that. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant improvement. I think that the road is fine for a private road. So I tend to agree with Councillor Smail and grant permission.
Thanks, Chair. I noticed in the application, although the traffic management is tight, there is a provision for visitors' car parking at the end of the development. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this being a private road, does that infringe the right-of-way regulations within the county? I would be interested to find out if we still have a right-of-way, knowing that that road eventually leads you to the Penicuik estate. So I'd like confirmation that the right-of-way would still be there for people to access that. Although it says private road, I just know what the connotations are correctly on that situation, please.
Yeah, Chair, I mean, this proposed development, if approved, should not and doesn't change existing situations. So whatever those rights of way are at present, they should apply after the development, if the development is approved and built. So that position shouldn't change.
Thank you, Chairman. I've been very much in two minds about this, but I think I'm falling down on the side of refusing. I do have great concerns about the road, I must say, because for the reasons that Councillor Drummond and Councillor Alexander have mentioned about parking of cars, because it's quite common nowadays for houses of that size to generate 3 or 4 car users, then with friends and delivery vans and other things like that, that I could see the volume of traffic on the road increasing considerably, and that could lead to danger when there's an emergency with an ambulance or whatever. So I I just feel it's an overdevelopment of the site. If it had been less houses, I think I would have been more comfortable, but I think 4 houses is too many. So that's my feeling. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Councillor Bowen. Right, well, there's two trains of thought coming out of the LRB, so I think we'll just officialise it now by asking Councillor McManus to move what he moved. I didn't quite catch who was going to second, but if you want to move it, Councillor McManus.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I would like to formally move to refuse planning permission and uphold... no. What's the word? Correct me. Not uphold the appeal. Dismiss. Reject the appeal. Correct. Thank you.
Right. Is there somebody to move? Councillor Smale, I think you were coming to that conclusion.
Yes, I would move overturning the officer decision with the conditions that the parking sites are enlarged suitably, that the restitution of the road to its existing state, accepting what Councillor Cassidy has said, and that an understanding regarding the gate so that there is no issue, as Councillor Drummond said, of obstructing emergency services.
It was 4-3. I just felt that there wasn't any need for me to vote because it was quite clear that the LRB were making a decision. But if you want me to vote, I'm quite happy to vote, and I will vote to dismiss the appeal. And that's therefore on record. And thank you very much for your attendance, and date of the next meeting, he says 6th of March. The Ides of March. Right, okay, 1 o'clock. Right, thanks very much. Cheers.